great man. I met him, I don't know, I think I met him probably about 5 months ago. We keep crossing paths. Seeing him at my job, and just a little background. I work in investments, so seeing him come into my job, like, that means he about to do something. So, Mr. Arias. Our next panelist, you know, I had never met him before today, honestly. Did all types of research on him, was looking him up, looking at his social media, scouring it. Like, it was getting kind of weird, honestly. Like, I saw his family, I saw where he worked, all that stuff. From Northern Ohio, he is a insurance connoisseur, a health connoisseur. I don't know what she's better at, he'll probably let you know. Health or insurance. As I said, hailing from North Ohio. My guy, Simon Arias.
And, you know, like Donnie said, you know, I believe, you know, similar. You know, I was nodding, my head almost popped off when you said mind, body, and soul. You know, I try to develop the whole person to where, you know, I'll never be 100% successful trying to make everybody 100% successful. But in my business. But I can make them successful outside of the business if they choose, you know, to move on and do something different, that they're a better coach, they're a better teacher, they're better, you know, something else, because, you know, that I was able to pour in something small, you know, into their life. So that's probably my favorite part of the deal.
So you spoke about the mind, body, and soul. You switched them, you changed the mind, body, and soul, and you changed the person. Does that translate over to the money?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. You know, when you develop a whole, I think financially, you know, when we're talking about money, most of the time, you may see a person's highlight reel at the end. You'll see what they got out of it. You'll see the people they helped. You'll see the Rolls Royce, the nice cars, you know, whatever it is that people think that they want. And what you don't get to see is the process, you know, in the grind. And so I think why you see people fall apart, you know, you'll hear people say, you know, I don't want to be wealthy because, you know, I want to be a good dad. I don't want to be healthy or wealthy because I want to be a good husband or mom. You know, I don't want the money to change me. And, you know, I think a lot of times people think that you can only do one, that you can make a lot of money and you have to neglect everything else in your life, or you can, you know, be a winner in these areas of your life, but you got to live, you know, modestly or broke, or, you know, something along those lines. And, you know, I think when you develop the person mentally and physically and spiritually, that the amount of stress that it takes to make that type of money, you know, to make millions or beyond, is a lot of stress that people don't understand.
So Arias, I know we spoke a little bit earlier about being in the right place at the right time and surrounding yourself with the right people, and kind of continuing this conversation of using your resources. Can you tell us about how that played a role in your success?
I think, you know, the best way to be in the right place at the right time, first off, is just try to always be in the right place. You know, and at some point it's going to be the right time. You know, so you just got to be patient and keep being in the right place. It's like an athlete. You know, if you're in the right place, sometimes the ball will pop in your hands and, you know, good things happen to you. It's like people say, the harder I work, the luckier I get. You know, if you just keep being in the right place, at some point it's going to be showtime. You know, you got to be ready for that.
So if you have a strict schedule, life still happens. So for some people, if they have a strict schedule and life happens, it throws them all out of whack. Right. So do you have on your schedule a period of time that is like, boom, this is the time where anything else, this is the freestyle session, and the freestyle session is going to last from this time to this time?
I think, you know, for me, it's not always Sundays, but I try to make it Sundays my day to recoup. Mm-hmm. But for an athlete, it's like active recovery for me. You know, I still got to do something. I gotta be planning something. I gotta be planning for next week. I gotta be doing something. I think it's like sports, you gotta call audibles sometimes. Sometimes the play that you thought you were gonna run, you get to the line of scrimmage and you can't call that play. That's normal. You gotta be able to make adjustments. You just gotta be able to make adjustments and not panic. That's the difference between a professional and an amateur. So I think an amateur, they see things come, somebody come to the line of scrimmage and ain't what we thought it was gonna be, and they panic. But the professionals, you start watching, Tom Brady and some of these quarterbacks, there's 80,000 screaming fans, you're down 14 points and they're blitzing the house, and we're just cool, calm, and collective. We gotta switch the play and deliver, So I think just getting used to you relaxing when these things pop up and handling what's most important at that moment, because life is never gonna go the way that we always plan it. But I'd rather have a plan and adjust than have no plan at all. Need to adjust to that.
Yeah, I think for me, being an entrepreneur, working for myself, my schedule is just all over the place. You're an entrepreneur too. If I'm not out there, grinding, doing something for the business, I'm losing accounts. I'm losing accounts. I can't always rely on my distribution partner to do everything. So I have to continue to improve to do what you just talked about as far as finding that free time for yourself. What I find joy is now that it's football season, I'm in touch with my guys more. Sometimes it can just be a text message chain that kind of gives me that feeling of, all right, I'm not working right now. So I would rely on my teammates when I was a Buckeye football player, and I still rely on them today. But obviously we need to get our sleep, we need to eat right, do all those things that that we need to do. But personally for me, I'm on go mode right now, heavy.
My mentor always tells me there's two things you cannot change: time, cannot control time and change. So you mentioned time already. Can you describe an incident where unexpected change has came and how you overcame that?
I was a cornerback. If I get beat deep for a touchdown in front of everybody, next play. Sudden change, you gotta go to the next play. So when business something happens, or life something happens, you gotta think next play. You gotta do what you gotta do to put yourself in situations so that you can make the best of what you have right now.
Want me to go too? I think, thing that pops up about change is every week I walk in, to something. Every Monday, it's like, what's gonna happen now? Something's gonna happen because you're dealing with so many people's lives. It's just a numbers game. You're dealing with 1,000 people. One of them's gonna pop off. Something's gonna happen. And so the only thing that you can change, can control is your response. You know what I mean? So you got to be able to respond to whatever happens out there, and don't be afraid of it. Because typically when you relax and you take your time and make the right decisions, most of the time things aren't happening to you, they're happening for you. You just don't realize it in that moment.
When you know something isn't working, it's time to let go.
You gotta know when to pivot or transition, because pivot and transition is not always quitting. I've had other jobs, I just transitioned.
I think if it's, go with your gut. Your gut instinct a lot of times, will serve you right. You'll know if you ever hear your coach say, are you hurt or are you injured? You know what I'm saying? So, are you hurt or are you injured? Sometimes I think people, they're hurt and so they quit because it hurts. And there is no growth in your comfort zone. Expanding outside of your comfort zone is always gonna hurt. Just stretch pain, stretch marks, and women get pregnant and all that. I mean, it's uncomfortable. When you grow, you're gonna feel it. And so part of that, you'll come up with pain. And without pain, usually nothing great comes. You build a muscle, you have a baby, some of the greatest things in life come with pain. And so you just gotta go with your gut instinct. Like, am I just being weak and soft and dealing, am I hurt or am I injured? You know what I mean? And then I think when you go with your gut, you'll usually know. That's why you gotta have your spirit, in line. And if you pick people's brain that are further along than you, and you start to give them some of what's going on in your life, you'll be able to gain wisdom and gain knowledge, from seeking them out and digging deep in your spirit and in your soul. Usually you'll come up with the right answer. But right now you're young, man, young and confident, and keep that in you and keep grinding. Right now you're save money. When you start making, money, just save money. It's not about how much you make. It's about how much you save, how much you got. I know a lot of people that made a ton of money, they ain't got nothing. I know a lot of people that made a decent amount of money, they got a lot. So you gotta be able to discipline yourself to save. And if you find yourself in a position where, you're doing something that maybe necessarily you like, but you're not 100% loving it or passionate about it, but you got some money coming in from it, you may choose to suck it up for a couple years and stack money on the side and have a bunch of money, to where you can start a business that you're passionate, about. But at the end of the day, you're gonna feel like giving up if you're going through greatness, and you gotta marry the game, if you wanna be successful, and can't quit through sickness, through health, through rich or through poor, all of that stuff, because that's why your whole being gotta be stable about yourself, man, because when you're pushing and doing something that's worth it, it's gonna hurt.